Hey everyone, this is Cal here today. I know it's been a while since I did a last video, but there were no views on it for the first month. So I figured no one cares about these big blocks as much as me, obviously. So I figured I'd just continue on with the project and maybe film another video when I got the truck that the motor was going to go into. But then all of a sudden, you guys just blew up the video. 70, as I'm filming this, late July, 75,000 views. So thanks a lot, you guys, for taking the time to check out the video and listen to me talk and spew nonsense about these motors no one cares about. I appreciate all the comments too. You guys helped out a lot. Let me know your opinions and some information about these that I wasn't aware of. I made a couple of mistakes in the last video too myself that I noticed as I put this together more. First of all, starting with the flex plate. I said 454 flex plate. I actually meant to say neutral balance, like small block flex plate, which is what this is going to get, like a flywheel. So it's going into a stick, a truck with a stick. So it's just getting a neutral balance 350 flywheel. And I actually bought the wrong intake spacers initially. So I ended up selling them used because I couldn't use them and it was past the return. I bought them last year knowing I was going to do this, and I bought the right ones. So I'll give some part numbers to that as we get into the video here. So stick around and I'll show you what all I got going on with this green machine here. So here it is, the beautiful green machine. When you last saw this, it was a pile of parts sitting on this stand, kind of half opened and not really much going on with it. So in the last 2 months or so, I kind of been finishing it up. And I'll go through what all I did to this since the last video. So we'll start by the paint job. It's kind of a funny story. There was a box of discarded paint that we were going to throw away for a John Deere paint code that isn't quite accurate anymore. And you can see it in the video. This is a little bit more of a bluish hue. It's not right for John Deere, so I don't know how the case ended up existing, but it was 12 cans. We were going to throw it away. So I wanted to try something different. I usually paint everything Chevy orange, or like this small block here, or it ends up being Chevy black, like that small block there. So the truck that this motor is going into is a silver and black, so the green won't clash with anything. If it was a yellow truck or a blue truck or something, I probably would have just done a black spray bomb job on this, but wanted to be different. You either love it or hate it. Some of my buddies love it, some of them hate it. It's not quite John Deere green. Another thing, I put an intake on it. This is just your typical average old big block Chevy 454 stock cast iron intake. This, I actually don't know what exactly it came off of, something early 70s, I believe, as there's no EGR or heat choke or exhaust choke or anything. It was actually in a scrap pile. A good friend of mine does scrapping business and he hauls whatever's in the yard. And there was a whole bunch of motor parts sitting in the back of a 90s Chevy that he was going to squish, and he said for the $2 in scrap the intake was going to give him, he would just give it to me. So that is an unknown, probably early 70s 454 intake. Or I guess it could be a 396 intake, I really don't know. The spacers I used, I will insert a picture here. A Wyand number, I believe. I can't reference it off the top, but you'll see it on the screen now. They are for oval port heads. Initially, I bought Moroso ones for rectangle port heads because I wasn't thinking when I first bought them, and I screwed up and lost a little bit of money, but I ended up helping up a local guy by selling it to him. The kit worked pretty good. It spaces them nice. Of course, you have your bottom intake spacers and your intake spacers to the head. Doubled up on the gaskets, one on each side, RTV'd along the spacer in the middle, and it went on just perfectly. I used a little bit longer bolts than factory out of the old bolt box, and it went on. There was no fight, no battle. It just went on nice. I'm probably going to have to end up doing valve cover gaskets to this engine once we fire it up, but I'm going to just play it safe for now and see what the heck happens. We also have no water pump or anything on it. I bought a 454 water pump. I'll be installing that when it's in the truck. I find it's easiest for clearances on big blocks if you leave stuff like that until you're putting it right in. I'm going to get a lot of flack for stuff like painting in the intake, painting in the exhaust ports, and that's okay. You guys can rip me to shreds about that stuff. All I know is that the exhaust ports of this engine are going to reach upwards of 500, 600, 700 degrees Fahrenheit when the engine's idling in the first couple minutes, and that paint will be vaporized so fast it's like it wouldn't have even been there in the first place. On the carb side, on the water pump side, I'm just going to take a wire wheel to it and clean them up before I install the water pump and the carburetor. I didn't paint the oil pan. I usually don't whenever I do this sort of thing. I just leave them. It's buried under the truck. Kind of a waste of paint if you're a cheap bastard like me. So you just leave it blue, whatever. You're never going to see it once the exhaust and all the accessories and everything are there. But overall, I'm happy with this paint job. It turned out pretty good, I think. I had to do 7 or 8 coats because it's acrylic enamel. It's not engine paint. So I can usually do a motor in 3 coats otherwise. But I was kind of nervous to begin. It kind of tinted and didn't really stick and didn't want to thicken up and become a solid color because the intake was purple, the engine was blue once I degreased it. But I think it turned out pretty good and definitely good enough for the truck that this is going to end up going into. The other fun thing about this project is this carburetor. This is a brand new, made in China Quadrajet. I wanted to try it out because I've got a good Quadrajet sitting on my shelf at all times that I like to run on an engine stand, or if I buy a vehicle and I need to test out. I have a good Quadrajet that bolts on all stock factory small blocks and big blocks, so it'll just do the job if I need to know an engine runs good. I didn't want to donate that carburetor to this build. I like having it on the shelf, so I thought I'd add another element of an experiment to us. This is a Walti Ohm or something. It's a Chinese carb. And the reason I bought it is because it was the cheapest brand new 4-barrel Quadrajet I could find on Amazon.ca. Remember, we're in Canada. I paid $256 Canadian shipped to my door for this Quadrajet. It's the early 70s style, no biggie, vacuum EGR. It's not big and bulky like a lot of the 80s ones are, which I like, a little bit more simple to deal with. So we're going to hook this up and we're going to see just how good this can be out of the box. I've dealt with a ton of Quadrajets. I'm no master by any means, but I can set them up to run pretty good usually without rebuilding them, like to get the job done. So I think with this I'm going to put on my good one, get the motor dialed in, toss this bad boy on and just see what it does. You know, I know it's not everyone can just afford to gamble on $250 carburetor purchase, so I'll do the gambling for you. I guess that's the point of the YouTube channel. So we'll see what this does. I'm very curious, and if it's great, then you guys know. I'll send a link to the ad, and once it's running, because I don't want to recommend a carb that doesn't work properly. So once it's running in the future video, I'll put a link to that ad, and you guys can buy your $250 Quadrajet, which is probably like $16 US. And be happy with it. Because I didn't film any videos of putting this together, it's not going to be as long as the initial video. But there it is as it sits. The next video you'll see of this will be going into the truck. And I'm going to have a whole separate video on the truck that this is going into. I'm going to do a video on what I look for in a project Squarebody truck. I've done a whole bunch of these in the last 5 years. I have a pretty strict set of rules that I try to follow when I purchase them. And I'll tell you how it is up here in Canada. I know if you're from the southern states, stuff's a lot different with these old trucks. Up here we're not so lucky. There's a lot of stuff that we look over compared to, like as far as rust goes and missing components and stuff, compared to you lucky guys down in the States who have access to rust-free, clean stuff in Arizona for $7. It's not quite like that up here, but I still love doing them, so we're going to go and see what I look for in a truck. So until next time, hope you guys enjoy this video as much as you did the first one. Sorry it's not more technical. Like I said, I just put this together. I figured no one cared, and then boom, 70,000 views, 2,000 subscribers, and I've only got, after this, 3 videos on the channel. So thanks a lot for watching, you guys, and definitely stay tuned. I'm going to be more diligent on filming if you keep the views up. Send to your buddies. Do what you got to do. I don't make any money doing this. I'm just doing it for fun. You know, I'm not a believer in the whole pay cash for videos things like a lot of the big guys are doing. I don't intend on monetizing. If you see ads, it's because of YouTube putting them on there, not me. So just come along for this adventure with me on my dime, on your time, and see what we can do. Thanks again.